board, and I'm going to share my screen. Share left screen 1. Okay, so I did update the Pete's notes, and I'm not going to print out a new copy, but there's a new one online. Nathan was nice enough to turn in his second floor and his basement one, and so I got a chance to look at it, and it kind of triggered my mind that what he has you do is he has you, for drawing the basement walls, he has you put an underlay of the first floor walls, and then he has you trace it, and he says, go to the finished face of the wall. Well, the problem is, remember that bottom trim board shows up? You ran into this when you're dimensioning. You know, when he says to go to the finished face, it's not the outermost line on the Revit model, it's the next line in. Because there's a sweep at the base of the wall that shows up. Now, if I was the author, I would have, first off, I would have never, ever told you to dimension to the face of the siding, you have dimension to the face of the stud. That would have solved all the problems, because then I don't care how thick your stupid trim boards are. I'm always dimensioning to the face of the stud. And I would have had your face of your foundation lining up with the face of the stud. But he didn't do it in his infinite wisdom, so he has you dimension to the face of the siding. Now, the problem is that you need to have your foundation the way he has you do it up to the face of the siding. So if you have your books here, please go to page 1122. So when you get to chapter 11 and you're doing your section there, what you're going to see is that the face of the siding lines up with the face of the foundation wall. And then that trim board is that little rectangle that's bumping out above the first floor. And so I'm not grading down if it gets screwed up at back in chapter 6, but I would like you to fix it just because it's going to save you trouble up in chapter 11. So I've got 2 videos. One of them is if you already got past page. So where he tells you to do this in the book is page 615. He starts to talk about tracing, and he says, snapping on one of the exterior corners. He totally ignores the fact that when you snap on the outside line, you're snapping on that little trim board at the base of the wall. So, if you've gone past 615, there's a video that shows you how to fix it. If you're not yet at 615, I did a video this morning that shows you how to avoid the problem to begin with. That's what I'm going to show you right now. So there's a link on the new Pete's Notes that's uploaded, but I also want to show you just how you can get to the video on. So if you go back to my YouTube channel, you click on video 1, view full playlist, and then there's 2 videos here. So this is the one I made last year after I had gotten past 615 that explains how to check and align the foundation on the first floor if you drew it wrong and you're already past that point. If you haven't gotten to 615, I just made a video 2 hours ago. I guess all those 3 views are mine because I can't imagine any of you looked at it. So I'm going to show you that one to kind of explain what I'm talking about here. So let's make sure I've got closed captions on. I've got it on high definition, 1080. That should be good. I was using my good microphone at home, so it should blast their ears out if I'm thinking right here. Okay, in this video, I'm going to show when you draw your foundation, there's a way to do it that might save you some time down the road. If you switch over to chapter 11 in the book, you're going to see that he wants you to have the foundation drawn lined up with the face of the siding, which is this line there where my mouse is, not that goofy trim board. That trim board, if I would write this book, I would just erase the trim board. It causes nothing but trouble. And the whole idea of lining your foundation up with the siding is also stupid. The foundation should line up with the face of the stud. But having said all that, when you follow the directions in the book, he has you snap to the outside corner, but in reality, you're snapping to that outside trim board. So that means when you get to the chapter 11 and he's got the floor in by that time and he wants it to line up, you're going to see that your wall that you drew is lining up with the edge of the trim board and not the siding. So let's go ahead and look at the foundation plan. And he has you set up the foundation plan with an underlay of the, or an overlay of the first floor. And you can see this student here, I'm using a student drawing, went through and snapped to the outside corner of the wall exactly like the book said. But the book didn't say that that line that's actually showing up there is that goofy trim board line and not the, let's just zoom way in here. This is the trim board line. That one from here to here is the trim board. So we really want to snap to this corner. So let's see if it's possible. I'm going to erase some of these lines here of the foundation wall. And let's see if it's possible to get it to snap to the right lines. And I'll erase this one too. Well, I'll just start at the corner here. Okay, so I'm going to go to wall. And I've already got this set up where we start at the top of the footing. We're on the foundation level, not the basement level, so it'll take it up to that foundation level. We have chains set, and it says finish face exterior. So let's see if we can snap it to here without too much trouble instead of snapping it to there. Yeah, we can. So I'm going to snap it here. And then I'm going to snap it here. And then I'm going to snap it there. And then I'm going to snap it here. And I'm going to hit escape to get out of that command. So we are snapping it to the outside face of the wall. We're not snapping it to the outside face of that stupid bottom trim board. So now I've got a section cut through here. So the left side of my section is going to be the right way. And then well, let's flip the section over so it seems more logical to me. Okay, so now we're going to look at this section, and the right side of the section is the one I just drawn where it lines up properly, and the left side's where you drew it to the outside of the trim board. So let's go ahead and look at that section. Oop, got the wrong button here. Okay, so this is the one where I drew it properly, and I'm just going to draw a temporary annotation line to show you how it lines up here. So I'm coming straight down. So that's the one that I fixed. That's the way it should look like. So you're out to the face of the siding and not the trim board. Let's look at this side, which is the one I didn't fix. And I'm going to do an annotation line. And if I come down from here, you see it's lining up to that bottom trim board. So there's that bottom trim board. So again, all this would have been avoided if you would have actually made the book like the way you do it in the real world, where you line up your foundation face with the face of the house studs, not the face of the siding, not the face of the trim boards. But this will help you to avoid having to adjust your foundation to get your sections to work out when you get to chapter 11. Okay, hope this helps. Thank you. Well, do not think Revit is a bad program because of the stupidity of the book author. The book author does make some stupid mistakes, but his book is head and shoulders above all the other books, which also make even worse stupid mistakes. So a lot of things this book does are wonderful. The book has you do the exterior walls full height, because I've seen some people where they do the first floor walls up to a certain height for the outside, and then they stack the second. Well, then you've got this line where these walls are stacked on each other. So he does do a nice job on those sorts of things, and how you go about a plan where you do the first floor plan first, and then you use that as your basis for the second floor, and then you use that as your basis for the foundation. A lot of things are done right. A lot of things are done wrong, but it's the best book we could find. So don't, just because you're dinking around with this trim board and getting the dimensions right, a lot of that's a fault of the book made it harder than it needed to be. But don't think that Revit is this futzy thing that's hard, because you can get this set up. If you get it set up to the face of the stud, it's very fast because you can align things to the face of the core, and the core is the structural core in Revit speak. So by aligning to the face of the stud, you can just set it to dimension to face a core and it'll automatically go there. It doesn't care. I could put a 2x12 trim board on the outside. I could put a 4x4 trim board on the outside. I don't care because I'm dimensioning to the face of the stud. So you never dimension to trim boards or to the face of the siding because that's just irrelevant in the real world. Okay, that's all I got. I was going to do my residential history, but let's save that for a day when there's more people here, just so everybody can see what the heck I did. I was doing houses. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
So for this whole,
But so if you've already done this and it's off, what's the next video? So what the next video has you do is use the align command. You do a section and you align it from the siding and then you align that foundation to the siding. So you don't have to like redraw.
the siding for the homework.
Yes,
Okay.
for the homework, you do it the way, because if I start telling you, oh, this is the right way to do it, don't listen to the book, it's a disaster. It won't
Because then
work.
you fix it and then
Yeah.
you encounter other things.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do in your construction detailing class is I took this Revit model that I was done with and I fixed it and I showed you the right way to do it. So on the one that I'm going to show you in construction detailing, it's got a face of stud lined up with face of concrete. It doesn't have a gap between the floor and the siding and the top of the plate or the bottom of the plate where it connects to the house. All the little things in the house get fixed. The screwed up garage grade where it's exactly at the same level as the first floor, that gets fixed. So next 7 weeks, I show you a fixed version of this house, the way I would do it if I was written a book. Okay. But I can't show that now because then the book's worthless. Then we might as well just have me write my own book. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.